What is going on? Another episode coming at you from Choosing Us. Brad and Michaela, Team Awesome.
Here we are. Let's do it.
Fun fact, when we were dating, we would always, Michaela accidentally, we had a joke saying breast friends.
Oh, man.
And she accidentally said that in church one time. It was awesome.
I did. At the pulpit.
At the pulpit.
Yep.
She said, we're breast friends. And I'm like, she just said that. That's awesome. And we became Team Breast Friends.
Yeah.
Ever since.
It was great. Oh, my gosh. I think I went completely red.
It was awesome. I thought it was the best.
Of course you did.
Being that real is important.
It is.
I thought it was funny. I said, oh man, breast friends. And she's like, yeah, breast friends. And it kind of stuck, but it started out as a joke. And it was also a little bit of a test. Like, how is she going to handle when I say something a little bit off the cuff, a little bit weird, and a little socially not acceptable? But even more so, how is she going to do it when I say it in public?
Yeah. You know what's interesting about being real is I didn't realize this until we were dating, that in previous relationships, I would be my silly, goofy, funny self. And that person would call me out and be like, did you really just do that? And I would get so awkward and kind of ashamed and be like, oh crap, that was socially unacceptable. Like I would get embarrassed. And I kind of put that side of me away for a while because I didn't want to be something that they thought that I shouldn't be. And then I met you.
Yeah.
And I was embarrassed. I'm not going to lie. There were
a lot.
Yep. Okay. No, it was a lot at first.
A lot.
Yep. The grocery store line. That's a hard one that at first I just could not handle because we would be standing in line at the grocery store and you are a social butterfly. And I love that about you. But
I'm a unicorn.
You are a unicorn. And you would talk to the cashier or the people in line. This is Brad. So everybody knows a Brad, okay? He would talk to everybody in line and then the cashier, and he would be telling them all about our date. I mean, you still do this. Now I'm just used to it. But you would be telling them what we're going to do, like why we bought what we bought, what we were doing. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, they don't care. Like, stop. You're embarrassing me. I would get so embarrassed all the time.
I have been that person my whole life. I will look in your cart and I will see that we have a similar item or an item that I like, and we will talk about your item and why you're buying it and how much you love it or dislove it, or was it a thought? When I grew up, I remember a very specific instance. My dad is this way. My dad talks to everybody. That's kind of probably where I get it from. And I remember sitting in the line at Target with me and a couple buddies, and we were ringing up, and I was probably 14. I was probably 15, maybe just turned 16. I was around the time where I was starting to date. And the cash register, she was probably 18, and she was a decently pretty girl. And my dad was asking her how her day was and how busy the work had been and if she's been having a great day. And then he looks at me and looks at her and goes, hey, do you think my son's hot? And his aim in doing this was, and my dad has done this my whole life, he's conditioned me for awkward moments to see how I respond. And that was one of the things that built my confidence quickly, is how I respond to very off the cuff, sometimes socially not acceptable things. And he says, do you think my son is hot? And she handled it with grace. She goes, oh yeah, absolutely. He goes, would you date my son? She goes, I mean, if he's available. She goes, I'm actually dating somebody, so I'm not available. If I was available, I probably would. I'd take him I'd go on a date with him. And it was very casual, very more funny. Everybody was laughing, and he just basically gave her a high five, and he was like, congratulations, good job at holding your cool. You did better than anybody's ever done before, ever. I congratulate you. And I never forgot that. And I've always thought it's so important to have these open lines of communication, even with strangers. And this would infuriate Michaela when we first started dating. She was like, don't talk to anybody. We're going to the self-checkout where nobody is, so you don't talk to them.
Yeah.
But that's me.
It is.
And I'm not going to hide who I am based off who I'm around. If you know me in person, you're going to know I'm going to say whatever is on my mind whenever I want to.
It's true.
And yes, I have a filter. I know when things are like wildly not appropriate, and that's fine. That's just being an adult and knowing when I can and can't say specific things. But being real, being raw, being honest about who you are and about everything about you is huge.
And I love that now. I love that about you, because growing up, I had no clue who I was. I was so insecure, especially in middle school and high school, that I would adapt to my surroundings. I would do what I thought was cool. I would do what I thought was appropriate to fit in. And I ended up creating that as my identity, that I was whoever I thought I needed to be around certain people. And so I wasn't used to that. Having you be so blunt and raw and honest and silly and goofy and not caring what anybody else thought, that was so attractive to me, because as scary as it was and as embarrassing as it was, I loved that, because I didn't know who I was, because I was so busy being who I thought I was supposed to be.
So, for those that don't know, we are active members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I was a missionary, so a Mormon missionary, for those that don't know what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is. And when I was a missionary, I was a representative of Christ. And so I was very toned down from me. I was not as bright. I was still a pretty bright missionary, but it was not as bright as Barad is. And when I came home, I dated the same girl pretty much all of high school. We wrote my entire mission, which is a 2-year time frame that you're gone from your friends and family, for those that don't know. And then I came home, and I was home by about a couple of months. And for those that are around return missionaries, they're freaking weird. They're still figuring out how to react and be themselves again in regular life. And having not been around girls in a relationship setting for multiple years, I had to relearn that. And I had this girl that I was dating, and she was so standoffish, which was really weird, because we were actually planning on getting married. And she looked at me and she says, "You've changed." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You're not your goofy, funny self that I know. You're changed." I said, "Well, yeah, I mean, I've grown up a lot." She goes, This is not about growing up. You're reserved, you're filtered, and I don't like it." And that was a snap to me, and a very quick lesson learned of always be who you are, because people are around you for that reason. And if they don't like that, they can go away. There's plenty of other people.
Yeah.
8 billion people in the world. You can go find some more friends. But trying to be who you think they want you to be is just a waste of who you are, which is a gift.
Which is huge when it comes to dating and in a relationship. How often, especially when you first start dating someone, are you putting on a face? Are you trying to be conservative and trying to fit into this box that you think you're supposed to act a certain way when you first start dating? How often do people do that? And then once you've been dating for a while and this other side comes out, and the person you're dating is like, "Who is this? I don't know who this person is." But that's the real you. But you've been hiding that because you've been either embarrassed or scared to show the real side of you.
When we say real side, this is not just your style of communication. This is not just the way you talk. How about farting? How about burping? When we were married, probably 5 or 6 years, we had some close friends. They lived in our same subdivision, and something got brought up. Michaela was talking to the wife, and somehow it got brought up that, she left the room. And Michaela's like, what are you doing? She goes, I had to fart. She goes, and? Like, you literally went upstairs. Like, you left not just the room, but the floor. Like, you were gone
Yep.
for a while because you had to fart. Really? You had a flat hiss? And and then we're like, wait a minute. How about pooping? Like, oh, no. We have separate bathrooms. That's my pooping bathroom. That's his pooping bathroom. We shut the door. He's never seen me poop. I've never seen him poop. And I'm like, that's weird. I thought that was weird. I'm like, you're married. I'm like, what? What? And then we learned that more people do this.
We are the rare couple that in all of our houses, when there's a separate toilet room, we actually take the door off. Of the toilet room. I didn't realize until some of our renters moved into one of our houses and they were like, can we put that door back up? And we were so...
I was like, why? Why? It's like in the way and it swings weird. And it was put on backwards, actually. You can tell it's put on backwards. I'd have to like redo the entire door jamb to fix it. That's why I took it out, because it was annoying.
And we like open spaces. So I feel like we liked having our whole bathroom pretty open. And so it's just so funny. I laugh about that we always take the doors off and just have it open into the toilet area, because we've done that our whole marriage. We've always just been open about that. And that's never been weird. It's just a bodily function that you do. Of course, it's not going to smell great.
You're being human? What?
Weird. But it's funny how many people we have talked to that they're like, that is so gross. But we kind of just set that standard from the beginning that...
But is it gross? When did you decide that was gross?
That's true.
When did you decide that being human and having a proper digestive system is gross? What is that saying about your own self? On a subconscious level, if you think being healthy is gross, what is that doing to your health?
Yeah. I think that's definitely a generational thing, that it was just inappropriate and you had to keep it quiet and a secret and couldn't do it. And even in front of your partner.
Yeah. And I mean, we've had conversation with friends that Michaela recently, her friend was like, we hit a new boundary. We hit a new threshold, a whole new level in our relationship. And Michaela's like, oh, really? What happened? She goes, I farted in front of him.
They've been together 3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
And it took 3 years for her to fart in front of him. I was like, what? Pretty sure I farted in front of Michaela within the first week. But I had to fart. My body had to move gas. Welcome to digesting. And how would Michaela react? If she reacted, oh my gosh, how could you do that? That's so inappropriate. Like, you do it too. In fact, every human on planet Earth that has a properly functioning digestive system does this.
Yeah.
Why did you decide that it is gross, wrong, weird, whatever? And I have made it a point, even in public places, if my body's got to do what it's got to do, it's going to do it. And being that person, being that Ron, maybe that's not you, and that's okay. But hiding who you are because of fear of judgment, that's a problem.
Yeah. You have to be able to be yourself and to be able to figure out who yourself is. Sometimes, especially like I was when we first got together, I didn't know who that was. I had to figure that out for myself. And you were able to hold space for me to be able to do that. And I was able to feel comfortable around you that I could figure that out, that I could be silly, goofy, funny, whatever it may be, figuring out who I wanted to be, because you have a choice. You get to pick what you want and who you want to be and what your identity is. You get to pick that. It's not just placed upon you. You get to pick who you want to be. If you don't like who you are, change it. Change it. And being able to be real with your partner is huge. Hiding who you are, trying to fit into this box that you think you're supposed to act a certain way, throw it out the window. Be yourself.
And if you have gone down the rabbit hole of putting yourself in a box, I implore you to sit in a quiet spot and figure out what brings you happiness, what brings you bliss, who you are. Is there a situation And as you ponder about this and the situations arise, you will become cognizant of them. You will not be cognizant of them if you continually shove them down. But as you start making yourself aware, situations will arise where you suppress something. You suppress a way you say something, how you respond, intimacy. If somebody is a certain way intimately and the other person is not, and they hide it, they're not giving their full selves. How can you experience that person in full glory, in their ultimate beauty on how they were created? Because let's be honest, God, I'm a firm God-fearing man. I can't speak for Michaela, but I'd say that's probably woman, not man, though. God places you in certain times and in certain relationships and in certain places because he needs you. He doesn't need who you think he needs. He doesn't need who you believe is acceptable. He needs you. And I learned this starkly as a missionary. I would watch people try and be a missionary, and I trained quite a few missionaries, and I'd watch them be Christian, be a missionary, be a representative of Jesus Christ. And I said, what are you doing that for? It was something stupid. I don't remember what they are, but they were dumb things. So why do you do that? I said, oh, I'm just trying to be the best missionary I can. I said, how about you just be the best you? Because God placed you here for a reason to impact somebody. But he needs you. He doesn't need who you think you should be. You should be you. That same lesson goes into your relationships. It goes into you at work. It goes with your spouse. It goes with your kids. God needs you. So be you.
Well, and these conversations are going to be hard, especially if you have been in a long-term relationship, that you have been with one person for a while, 5, 10, 15, whatever, how many years, that you will have to have a conversation so that you're not just startling your partner.
A lot of conversations.
But being able to sit down with your partner and say, listen, I feel like I am not being my true, authentic self. I want to figure out what that means for me. And I would love your support and your encouragement as I figure out what that is. That way, when you start acting different or when you start changing and molding yourself into who you want to be, that your partner's not taken back by that. Have the conversations, going back to communicating, having open conversations and being like, I don't know who I am. Or maybe you just want to change. Maybe you don't feel the way that you want to feel. I hear all the time that people are like, I don't know who I am anymore. That's okay. Go figure out who you want to be. It doesn't matter who you were. It matters who you want to be now.
Boom.
Right now. So stop trying to figure out who that last person was, who that person was before. You've changed. You've grown. You've adapted. Become a new person today, right now, and figure out who you want to be today. Stop worrying about who you were.
So everybody pause what you're listening to, back up by like 1 minute and listen to that again. And then do that like 10 more times. It's super cool to watch Michaela live find her flow. I think it's like the first time she's had like this flow, and it's been awesome. Find your flow. Be who you are. And the beauty of that is you can become closer together. You can become truly aligned, not aligned with a facade.
And the last thing is, it's okay if it takes your partner a minute. Your partner may be taken back by it. Your partner may not be okay with some of the changes that you're going to be making. But have the conversations, be open about it. And hopefully they're able to get on board with that and able to support you and encourage you through those changes. But don't expect, as you're making these changes in your life or becoming who you want to be, don't expect them to automatically get on board if these are drastic changes. Sometimes it takes a minute.
And they're not normally that dramatic. But I had a conversation recently with a friend, and his dynamic in his marriage is changing drastically, magnificently huge, polar opposite huge. And we were discussing through that, considering, and I said, at the end of the day, do you love your wife? Yes or no? He said, yes. I said, cool. Accept her for who she is. Learn with the curveball. And as things come across, there's going to be things you don't like. Bring it up. Have conversations. But as long as you truly love each other and you want to do life together, doesn't matter what comes. You can make it through.
Yep.
That's where we're going to end.
100%.
Be real, be raw, be authentic, be you. God needs you to do that. Your spouse needs you to do that.
Thank you, guys. We're super grateful for you.
We love you. We are grateful. We have seen the downloads. We've seen the shares. We have seen the comments, and they are glorious. And they only encourage us to do more, so keep doing them. Leave us a review. Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon. We're on all of them now. All the platforms. Like this thing, subscribe to it, download it for future listenings. Until next week, we love you guys. Bye.
Bye.